Hello, my dear friends. So, today the topic is chain vexing again. And first, I would like to say that probably the problem that we are having is because at the moment, chain vexing, due to complexity of application, I think mostly rather than anything else, not popular enough for the big players to produce it to the mass market. So it's a lot easier for people obviously to use drip chain, loops, and so because it's like that at the moment, the market is like that, it means that it's all limited to either some boutique stores or manufacturers or people's garages. And because of that, there's lots and lots of speculations about different things, and people add all kinds of things to the paraffin. They add motor oil, you name it, whatever. They add anything they want to it. And the funny thing is that most of the times it still works, but that's also because, the tolerances in chains, they're just not very precise, and even the dry chain will work in some way or another, so it's really not that demanding in terms of lubrication, bicycle chains. But anyway, so the thing that we're having right now is it's a popular subject at the moment that PTFE or polytetrafluor whatever Teflon, it's very popular on one hand to add to the paraffin wax, but at the same time some boutique stores which basically sell overpriced paraffin and also some people who make it themselves, they advocate against PTFE in the mixtures. And probably my guess is that it's just my personal opinion, but the motivation for them will be different. So for the boutique stores which sell paraffin 10 times of what it's worth, their motivation is that PTFE is simply expensive. So that's why they don't want to add it to their mixes. And every cent counts there. And also because they are not able to purchase it at big quantities. And for people as well, it's been on and off the market a lot of times. I've been monitoring the market for PTFE for a little while, I would say for a couple of years, and I can say that it was readily available in a lot of places and it was quite cheap. Then it's disappeared from the market, then it reappeared again, but it was priced more expensively. And yeah, of course, if you go to big Chinese platforms, I wouldn't name it, doesn't matter, you can buy it in bulk really cheaply. Like if you want a couple of kilos or even a couple of hundred of kilos, yeah, no problem, you can source it from there and it will be cheap. But if you're just an average cyclist and you want to do your mix and you just want 50 grams, at times it might be hard to source, especially with COVID and all the rest of it, blah blah blah. So there's the issue there. So that's why people also like to come with ideas that I wouldn't use it because they cannot say that it's not working, but they can say I wouldn't use it due to the harm to the environment, for example. That's probably the most popular subject at the moment with PTFE, and there is a valid point there, yes, but only when we're talking about production. So just to explain, the PTFE that has already been made into a product, it's not harmful to humans in any way. It's just an inert material, similar to silicone, for example. But at the same time, during the production, a harmful substance is being used, which is called PFOE, PFOA, and it's only a theory at this stage. The way I understand it is that the environment is quite polluted with PFOA, in some places more than the others. The science, as far as I know at this stage, we don't know whether it has come from Teflon during the production or whether it has come from different sources. We know that some soil and water and whatnot is polluted with it, but we don't know, and it's definitely a harmful chemical, but we don't know whether it comes from production of Teflon, whether there is enough there to pollute the environment like that or not. So this is still under question. But anyway, the environmental factor, if we take that into account, yes, only during the production of PTFE, possibly, but if we are talking about ready-made project, think about that product, it's 50 grams, what you need for half a kilo of, if you take the 1 to 10 ratio, so half a kilo of paraffin takes about 50 grams of PTFE. It works the best this way for channel lubrications. Now, how much is 50 grams if we are talking about the environment? Well, it's nothing. It's really nothing, regardless of the way you look at it. It's such a minor quantity, and we can look at it at different angles. We can think, okay, how much resources and how much pollution does it take to produce a new chain, for example, bicycle chain? And because if we think about chain longevity, lubrication with paraffin, with PTFE added, adds a lot to the lifespan of a chain. So if you're using that, then you're not buying new chains. So you're contributing to the environment like that. Or, for example, if the alternative for you is to either drive a car somewhere or to ride a bicycle to work, for example, then obviously that amount of PTFE is insignificant. And also think about that in a batch of paraffin plus PTFE there is only 50 grams of it. But how long does a batch last? I can tell you that it lasts a very, very long time. Many rev-axis of the chain. So if we are talking about 500 grams, even if we are thinking about contamination of the chain, contamination of the batch of paraffin plus PTFE with foreign materials from the chain, it's still, the batch is still going to last you a very long time because there's a big volume of paraffin, so that contamination from the chain, it's just basically lost, dissolved in the whole of the paraffin. So you can still use it again and again and disregard the contamination until the batch really becomes dirty. And also another helpful hint, by the way, is if you melt the paraffin quickly, especially, you can see that all the time the paraffin will lose its clear white color and it will become yellow in color, and that means that it has lost some of the chemical properties needed for lubrication. So if it's still white and clear and there are some particles at the bottom of the batch, for example, which you cannot get rid of, and you don't have to, you can just disregard that, as I say, then it's not such a big deal. Now, another helpful hint, if we're talking about lubrication, is now, if you have a unidirectional chain, obviously this isn't valid for you. But if you have a multi-directional chain, then you can use the chain for half a run. For example, it's 200 kilometers for you, or whatever works for you, 300. So you use it for only half of that, so 100k of 200k. Then what you do is you take the chain off. You can mark one side of the chain with a piece of masking tape, for example. Then you swap it around, and then the chain will run in different direction. And so what it means is that the pressure points of the chain rollers onto the chain will be swapped around, and it will be in a different way. So this way the waxing will work for longer, or if you don't want it to work for longer, it will just work better overall. Obviously it doesn't work with unidirectional chains like Shimano's, but it does work with Connex chain. Now, another popular topic of discussion is people say that, well, how can you measure the chain wear if there's always paraffin stuck inside of the chain and rollers? So if we're talking about cleaning of the chain before reapplying wax, the popular method is that you pour boiling water over the chain and it gets rid of the dirt as well as some of the paraffin, but some is still left inside. So what is the real wear of the chain, they ask. Well, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter. I think that's irrelevant, because regardless, the cassette of your bicycle, it doesn't know whether it's a real or non-real wear, as long as there's no stretch and the teeth of the cassette marry with chain, so there's no additional wear of the cassette. Doesn't matter what the real wear is. So I don't really see any problem there, unless I just misunderstand the point altogether, which is possible as well. But anyway, just a quick point there. Now, yeah, just to summarize what I have said is PTFE, well, during the production phase definitely could be harmful for the environment. We don't know the scale yet, or I wasn't able to find the exact figures, but that minuscule amount that you use for a batch, and also think about the time you use the batch for, revaxing your chain again and again and again, it's really irrelevant for the environment, in my opinion. You can prove me wrong, but yeah, just hit something in the comments. But another thing is that real wear chain, yeah, I don't really see the point. Good hint, swap the chain around if you can. If it's not a unidirectional chain, if it's a both directional or multi-directional chain, you can do that. And this way extend the revaxing time. And yeah, your longevity of the batch, just have a look at the color, have a look at the contamination. Now the contaminants, there could be some metal in there in some cases. So if you're able, while the paraffin is still liquid, to use some kind of a magnetic filter just to get rid of those metal contaminants, would be really useful, would it? So I haven't yet thought about the practical way to do it. I don't know, maybe some knife with a strong magnet stuck to it, and then you just swoosh it around in the mixture, and then you just get rid, you just swipe the knife with a piece of cloth or something. This might work, I don't know. Haven't tried this yet. I will try it and then I'll let you know whether it's working or not. But yeah, really this whole paraffin thing, as I said before, it hasn't quite reached the stage of mass production. I don't know if it will or not. It's hard to tell, because it's a bit of an involved process, especially if you have never done it before. Some people are scared of it, so if it will, it's becoming more and more popular anyway. It will become more and more popular, and my guess is that probably some big brands will become interested in that, and then we will probably start getting real scientific data, and then we will start getting paraffin that's mixed with some additives, which will be available on the market, readily available, and for a non-ridiculous price, unlike now only the boutique shops produce it. So yeah, that's about it. Questions, queries, comments, you're welcome. See ya.